boring history for sleep. What life was really like in ancient Egypt. Hello, everyone. Tonight, we are going to travel back more than 3,000 years to the land of ancient Egypt. So, get comfortable, relax your shoulders, and allow your mind to slowly drift into the distant past. Imagine standing beside the great Nile River. The sun is rising over the horizon. The water moves quietly through the landscape. Birds fly above the river, and the first farmers of the day are already beginning their work. Ancient Egypt was one of the world's most remarkable civilizations, but unlike the stories we often hear, most Egyptians were not pharaohs, they were not powerful priests, and they did not live in giant pyramids. Most people were ordinary farmers, living simple lives near the Nile. Every year, the river flooded its banks. At first glance, this might sound like a disaster, but for the people of Egypt, the floods were a gift. When the water receded, it left behind rich, black soil. This fertile land allowed crops to grow in a region that was otherwise surrounded by vast deserts. Without the Nile, ancient Egypt might never have existed. A typical day began very early. Before the heat of the afternoon arrived, families would wake and prepare for work. The houses were usually built from mud bricks. These homes were simple, but they helped keep the interior cool during hot summer days. Inside, furniture was limited. Most families owned only a few important possessions. Life was practical. Every item had a purpose. For farmers, the fields required constant attention. Wheat and barley were among the most important crops. These grains were used to make bread, one of the main foods in the Egyptian diet. Bread was eaten almost every day. Sometimes it was accompanied by vegetables, fruit, or fish from the Nile. Meat was less common for ordinary people. It was often reserved for special occasions. As the morning continued, workers moved through the fields. Some planted seeds, others harvested crops. Many carried water using simple tools and containers. The work was physically demanding. The Egyptian sun could be intense. Temperatures often became extremely hot by midday, yet the work continued. Children also played an important role in daily life. They helped their families with household tasks. Some learned farming skills, others learned trades from their parents. Education was available to a limited number of people. Scribes were especially respected. A scribe was someone who could read and write. This skill was, was rare and valuable, while most people worked in fields. Scribes recorded information, kept accounts, and helped manage government affairs because writing was difficult to learn. Scribes enjoyed a higher social status. Now imagine walking through an Egyptian town. The streets are busy. Merchants sell goods in open markets. Potters shape clay into useful containers. Carpenters build furniture. Weavers create cloth for clothing. Everywhere, people are working. The economy depends on thousands of skilled individuals. In the distance, you might see a temple. Temples were among the most important buildings in ancient Egypt. They were not only places of worship, but also centers of economic activity. Priests managed large amounts of land, resources, and workers. Religion influenced nearly every aspect of life. The Egyptians believed in many gods and goddesses. They believed these divine beings controlled natural forces and protected the world around them. People offered prayers and gifts in hopes of receiving blessings. Perhaps the most famous aspect of ancient Egypt is its fascination with the afterlife. The Egyptians believed that life continued after death. Because of this belief, great care was taken when preparing the dead for burial. The process of mummification was developed to preserve the body. For wealthy individuals, this process could take many weeks. Objects such as jewelry, food, and personal belongings were often placed inside tombs. These items were believed to be useful in the next life. The Great Pyramids that still stand today remind us of these beliefs. Yet, surprisingly, most Egyptians never entered a pyramid. For ordinary people, life was focused on family, work, community, and survival. As evening approached, the heat of the day slowly faded. Workers returned home, families gathered together, meals were prepared, stories were shared, children laughed and played. The Nile reflected the golden colors of the setting sun. The sounds of the busy day gradually disappeared. Darkness settled across the land. Oil lamps flickered softly inside homes. Above, thousands of stars filled the night sky. Without modern cities, the stars appeared brighter than most people today can imagine. And as the people of ancient Egypt drifted into sleep, another peaceful night began beside the river that had sustained their civilization for thousands of years. Thank you for joining me on this journey through ancient Egypt. Rest peacefully and let your thoughts drift slowly down the waters of the Nile. Good night.